It was 90 hours a week, every single week, no matter what. It took me about 2.5 months to understand it. You're going to have some of the best days of your life here and some of the hardest days of your life here. If you're not good at clocking in for yourself and you don't show up for you, I also can't help you with that part. I don't want to bring people in that don't understand that this is an actual business where we purchase leads as inventory that we turn into income. I was so over the top aggressive buying leads. I never wanted it to be because I wasn't committed to giving this thing a full shot. This is not something that has an hourglass on it for me, dude. So as long as they'll let me do it, I don't really have a desire to do anything else full time. I really like this stuff.
Hey everybody, how are we doing this week? We got Easton Padden on. He's a 4-time Hall of Famer, 3-time Agency Hall of Famer. He kind of looks like Zach. First time I seen you, Easton. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. So before we kick off with Easton, I just want to go over a few things. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the producers in December. We had Ethan Koo coming in at $6,492. Rachel Merced coming in at $5,400. Ada Holmes coming in at $4,172. Daryl Ballard. Holla. Coming in at $3,611. We have Sylvia Melblue coming in at $2,745. And last but not least, Marleg Melendres at $2,151. I do want to give a fascinating number. Family First Life helped 277,000 families in 2023. I think that's pretty powerful. Factory, what's up and coming with FFL USA?
All right, so we've got obviously our national convention. Make sure you attend that. It's going to be in Texas, Irving Convention Center. And as you mentioned, 227,000 families helped in 2023. Just some recognition leaderboards here. Top 20 agencies, 2023. We've got top 20 agents, 2023. Let's give them a round of applause there. And then what do we got here? We've got instantly seal the deal with Ethos e-signature. So this is new. This is a new. Send a secure SMS code to your client's phone. The client simply sends the code back to you, which acts as their legally binding e-signature. No more waiting. You can submit the app immediately. And lastly, the quote of the day: put your heart, mind, and soul into even your smallest acts. This is the secret of success.
Love it. All right, Easton. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What'd you do before FFL? Who are you? Just give me a little brief synopsis of yourself.
Well, yeah. Jimmy, you got me okay on here?
I do. I hear you perfectly.
Sweet. So I've kind of had a bunch of weird jobs. I got my first full-time job the summer that I was 12. At least it wasn't working for my own family. I started working on another guy's farm. We were doing, irrigation pipe and moving cows and stacking bales and all that fun stuff. And that was my first job where I was like full 70 hours a week, working. So I got introduced to, pretty long weeks when I was pretty young, which I think has kind of helped me in, multiple aspects of my life, especially being here. And then right before I started FFL, I was actually in corporate rental car. I was working for one of the giants. In their commercial truck division, I was doing day-to-day renting cars out, doing inside and outside sales. A lot of my truck side of the business was going cold business to business, trying to recruit these like multi-million dollar construction companies to lease trucks from us instead of buy their own, which was not a phenomenal sales pitch to some of them. Obviously, they didn't think that seemed awesome. So that was kind of the first time that I really faced a ton of rejection in sales on a daily basis because, you're walking in uninvited, pitching yourself on like, this is why you should work with me. And they're not interested and didn't invite you into their business to talk to them. So that's what I was doing before this. And, I was doing not too bad. I had some good years there. And I was kind of looking at my revenue that I brought into the company versus what they were paying me. And I felt like that wasn't a very good exchange for my efforts and my performance. And that's when I started looking into like high commission contract jobs. I love the idea of working for myself, and no one else being able to control my income. And that's when I stumbled upon FFL. And when I found the company, dude, I did an interview in January of 2018, and I was like, I'd love to do this. I'm all in. And I didn't actually get my license until March of the following year of 2019. And then I started full time here April 1st of that same year. So that's kind of how I found this place.
Wow. So I kind of had a similar, I've made lots of people lots of money over the years, and the trade off was always in their benefit, and the scale was always like this, them, me. And if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now. But COVID hit, so there were some good things from COVID, and I'm with you with that. I mean, love working for myself. It's one of the first times I've really uh, been beneficial in being able to do everything myself and be my own business owner, and I think that's pretty powerful. So I hear you're working a secret lead type for integrity. Is that true?
Yeah, I didn't really want anyone to hear about it. So I've really kept it to myself and definitely not been telling everyone that they should run them. And I'm not sure which one you're referring to exactly, uh, but I have been like cracked out on these ethos abandoned leads. Um, I think for the cut between the ethos leads and some of the IUL stuff that we've got access to now, man, it's hard to sell me on that it's not one of the best lead access types that we've ever had at the company because you can get them for like 18 bucks brand new, and clients have already been in the portal like filling out their social security number trying to purchase and either didn't finish or got booted. And so our job is just to call and like basically pivot or complete. So that's like the ethos leads for like our traditional turn and burn business. Biggest IUL sale off of one of those leads. So my my biggest IUL sale, which is still in the works, is I sold a $5 million annual premium for this
Whew.
guy's going to pay that for 10 years, is my Andrew was asking. That's my biggest IUL sale that I've submitted. Um, so a lot of work to be done to get that thing green lighted, but that is in his annual income. So he was making like two and a half a year, and then he inherited a company from his parents that was like north of, two, three, 400 million or something. So that's where like a big chunk of the cash was going to come in. So he's already making a bunch of money and then took over this like giant entity. And so that's how, I think I was a second chance lead. So I don't know if I paid five bucks for that thing or something like that. So that's kind of how that thing came to be.
That's amazing. So what was it? Just like he was looking for term, or was he looking for an IUL? What was he looking for?
No, he was IUL shopping specifically. So I had been chasing this guy for like it was just an age lead. So, I called him for a couple of months. I bought it aged, and then I didn't actually get him on the phone for the first time for 60 days after that. And he was like, "Hey, I promise you," he's like, "Thanks for chasing me down. I promise I'm going to make this worth your while. If you can just be patient, hang in there with me." And, I basically wrote down, sounds good. I'm certain that that's true, because everyone's had those like, oh, just, I promise you this is going to be worth it, and then you do all this chasing around or whatever. And um, so I was kind of like, yeah, no problem. He's like, listen, I'm really looking to put a bunch of money into one of these things for like a 10-year period. And I was like, okay, are you talking like a bunch of money as in a couple hundred grand a year or a couple million a year? And I just like said it nonchalantly, like it was no big deal. And he's like, yeah, somewhere between 3 and 5 million a year is kind of my plan for a 10-year window. And I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Just like pretended like it was no big deal. But in my mind, obviously, I was like, if this guy is not messing with me, this is going to be pretty wild.
Yeah. So who'd you end up using as a carrier, if you don't mind me asking? Is that NLG, FNG?
Yeah, it's going through NLG pending right now. Depending on how he wants to use his money, we might look at like a BYOB plan with Lafayette or one of the whole life. So if he's going to take some out of there sooner than later. But yeah, it'll either run through NLG or like Lafayette or something. Kind of depends on how he's going to utilize the policy, but it's submitted to NLG right now.
That's awesome. What'd you do? Like specify them out and then do like a 10-year 1 through 10 and the illustration for them?
Oh yeah. Yep. And kind of showed him, what it's going to roughly look like, and just kind of needed to find out like, hey, are you wanting to like put all this in and take it out right away, or can you let it sit for a little bit, because that will definitely change like what we're going to do. And he's like, well, for now I'd like to just throw it in there and kind of let it do its thing. And so that's why we'll end up sticking on the NLG side if he's just going to let it sit for 10 before he messes with the money. But if he wants to play with it a little bit, then we might look into some kind of like big whole life type thing so we can move it in and out a little bit easier.
That's awesome. So you help like 50 families a month, right?
Yeah, give or take.
So could you share with us like your script, like kind of what you do, and then what kind of? I know you said I love these ethos Instacart. I think those are the golden egg basket in my opinion. But everyone has their niche. Everyone likes what they like, you know. But for me, I just like the fact that it's kind of like a grab bag. You don't know what's going to be on the other side, and a lot of the people are actually looking for bigger premiums. So for me, it's kind of exciting to work those. But if you can kind of share like what your weekly grind is. So I like the agents to understand that you don't just wake up and then go to work at noon. You're done at 2, go out to eat, have a good time. So, I mean, I know you've worked on a farm. That's probably the hardest job in America. I don't think I can't imagine a harder job than working on the farm. My mother-in-law is from Minnesota, and she grew up on a farm, and she talks to about what they had to do to survive back, and she's 89 years old, and they worked from this before the sun came up till after the sun came down. And the only time they talked to their father was when they ate dinner. So if you can kind of share like what your weekly grind is, do you work 7 days? And then what time do you start dialing? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's definitely evolved a little bit over time. This is a business, so I think you should do something business related every day, because you own and operate your own business. So, I know that hopefully that's not terrible advice for everybody, but I do try to do something. Now, Sunday is not as crazy as it used to be when I was first starting. It was 90 hours a week every single week, no matter what. And like, I didn't really miss that schedule for 2 years, where I was very plugged in, very regimented, disciplined. It was a 7 day a week, like, running, selling, hiring nonstop. And then the whole goal of doing that really hard for your first few years is so that you can get back some of that time. So, now I got a wife who's pregnant, and I like to spend a little bit of time with her on Sundays. So I'll allocate, like a date night during the week. And then I try to spend as much time, with her on Sunday, where I'll definitely take inbounds, do some interviews. If I have a
Mm.
client that can only sit for an appointment that wants to buy insurance on a Sunday, I'm totally in. Um, but that would probably be the closest thing to, what some would say is like a day of rest, where, it's not, I don't go from 7 a.m. I'm dialing to 9 p.m. as I'm, getting off the phone anymore, which is kind of how I used to run my schedule. So now I kind of, I get up pretty early. I like the morning stuff. Some people are evening people. I'm just not, probably from some of that farm and ranch stuff. My whole family's a bunch of ranchers, so we get up early. So I get up 3:30 and kind of like kick off my morning routine, which the 3:30 is new this year. I'm just trying it out here for the next handful of months to see how I do. It's been 3:58 for my first like 4 years here, and then I just moved to 3:30 just because, just for no reason really, but I wanted to try it out for a bit. So I get up and, you know, do the ice stuff, go get a workout in, kind of get ready to start for the day. Um, and then I am like in office, whether it's home office or the Denver office, I'll be in there kind of like ready right between like 7 and 7:15, getting all my stuff together. And then I usually start dialing out at 8 o'clock, or that's when I start my first meetings. Um, and then my bedtime is not late, dude. I'll go not 9:30 or 10 o'clock. That's a wrap for me. I'm not trying to be up till 12 or 1 or 2, so that you crazy night owls, that seems way more bizarre to me than getting up early. But some people just operate like that better. So good for good for you. It's like, guys, I don't know how to do that. So that's kind of like my morning stuff. I get up, get after it a little bit, try to get mentally ready for the day, listen to anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes of like, it's typically an audiobook, dude. I'm not a huge reader. So I try to plug into something business related one month or for like a couple of weeks until I finish. And then I'll grab like a fun book to tear into. So it's not all serious all the time. Kind of gives me a good balance. And then yeah, 8 o'clock, dude, it's time to go. I'll have all of my leads prepped and ready the night before so that when I, get to the office, basically I'm just like finalizing my calendar for that week or just going through my day or whatever it is. And then I'll start dialing right at 8 o'clock. Typically run 8 to 11 or 8 to 12, kind of depending on the day. And then we'll do like a break, grab some food, do like a team meeting at 1 o'clock. When we're in Denver, we have live trainings every single day at 1 o'clock, and it's about an hour 15-minute drive to that office for me, so I go up there Mondays and Thursdays, and then one of my managers runs the meeting Tuesday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then those guys are all in there on Saturday typically too. So it works pretty dang well. Sorry about that. um but that's kind of like my daily schedule, and then I'll wrap up, if I have a super late appointment or something like that. I ran my last appointment yesterday, or maybe it was Tuesday. I was just getting off my last one right about, 8:30 at night. And it was one of those days where I got beat up all day, and lots of no shows and missed a couple of sales opportunities. And I had this guy that said he got off work from his job super late, kind of a fire chief type dude. And we sat down and he was like, hey, I'm looking to keep my monthly spend between like 650 and 850 a month. And it was just he just wanted a big huge chunk of term, and that's what he told me. So I didn't even we didn't even get into anything, and it was just this like giant lay down sale where he told me what he wanted, he told me what was going on with him. And we got his stuff over to the insurance company. But that's one of those like later sales days where you take those 8:30 appointments, because I feel like if someone's willing to show up at that time, it's equivalent to someone who's willing to sit with me at 6 o'clock in the morning when I was doing in-homes. Like I'll take every 6 a.m. and 8 to 8:30 p.m. that I can, because the intent, if they show up at those hours, is so high. I feel like I got a good shot of something good happening.
Oh, I love that.
That's what my schedule is Monday to Saturday.
Very nice. So so how many people do you have in your agency?
We got about 120, right between like 100 and 120 writing agents.
And then
Every
when did the light bulb go on when you're like, I got to build an agency? Like, I think I figured this out, or how did that come about? Hey,
Well, so I was super lucky. Like I was just around Zach right away. Like my second month in here, he moved from South Carolina back to Denver. And we're both in John Wetmore's organization. So he was like, hey, I'm gonna be moving out there. And he, I'd only known him for a couple months at the time, but I was trying my best and he was trying to help me. So I knew what his vision was. Like he was working every day, he was recruiting people. He was always talking about building and scaling and being profitable and all that stuff. So I saw what he was doing and I was like, well, this seems awesome. But at the beginning, it's like, dude, I also need to keep my own oxygen mask on and survive. So it was kind of like that. But once I was 2.5 months in when like my sales light bulb came on. And then after that, I was all in on everything that we were trying to do. So it took me about 2.5 months to understand it. And then recruiting became real for me when Jake Conan started working with me. We went to college together, and he was a captive agent, and he just called to ask for, which is hilarious now to think about.
hmm.
He had reached out because he had saw my first like 6 months of production when I started. It was like 243 families, my first little stint when I was working here. And so he called. He's like, "Hey, I don't really know how you're doing that stuff, but I was calling to see if you have any like sales advice on life insurance, because it looks like you did quite a bit compared to what I did last year." And I was like, well, yeah, but it has nothing to do with like me being good at sales. I'm still atrocious, but this is how our system functions. We've got leads all over the place. We go out and see people in the house, and here's how it works. And I was like, and instead of being at a 23% life contract, you'd start quite a bit higher here. And so he was like, well, I might have to take a look at that. And then he started, dude, and his first month was like 65, second month was 67 families, third month was like 73. And I was like, wow. So this was a guy that was like grinding at a captive agency to like barely pull off $100,000 a year. And he comes and goes 65, 67, 73, or roughly. those amounts his first 3 months. And I got to watch Jake's entire life unfold and change in like a 6 to 12 month window. And so I was like, dude, this is it. Like, how many of my friends are in that situation where they're buried at a job and they're worked, like Jake's a hustler, dude. He's a workhorse, but he's doing everything he can, but he's limited to what he can do at the place he's working. So that was like my huge, holy moment where I was like, how many of these guys are out there that are starving to win that just don't have the platform? And like that's when my recruiting mentality changed a lot.
So you went after warm leads, or did you just open up to the world?
Yeah, it timed up really well. So my 12th month in the business, I also had a record month, which was identical to the time that I was kind of recruiting Jake to come on. Um, and so I did 93 families that April of 2020, which was my all-time record at the time. And I was sharing, this was when stuff was a little bit different, so we could share like what our deposited income was. So I was blasting that stuff like crazy everywhere because I had a week where I had deposited more than I had made at the rental car company in 12 months, and I did a bigger 7 days. And so I wanted everybody to know that was at that company. And then obviously all my friends and stuff saw that too. And so that's when I started getting a bunch of people reach out like crazy to me as well. Like, dude, what are you doing? We know you. We know you barely graduated high school and college, probably because you cheated. So, like, how is this possible for somebody like you? Can you tell me what you're doing and is it legal? And that was kind of like a conversation. So I ended up bringing a ton of like my warm market friends on. A lot of them had no sales experience. One of my good buddies was in oil. Like he dropped out of college our freshman year and went and got into the oil fields for 11 years and then came on here after and started helping 40 families a month his like second or third month because he was just a worker. So that's how we kind of started to get a lot of warm market in, was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the cool part of the job. This is the hard part of the job. Here's what my day to day looks like. This is what my weeks look like. And it kind of just blew up on itself from there because Jake and I have a lot of the similar warm market guys. So we got a lot of our college buddies in.
Dude, that's awesome. So you built a group around your friends. They saw you were successful. You were able to get them over the finish line, and now they're successful. So you must have a great time at work. I mean, how much better is that, right? I mean, I went into places where I hated to go. I just hated it, but I had to pay the bills for the family, so I showed up, and I just knew that there wasn't any pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And looking at this company and seeing, it's my first year in, and seeing all the possibilities, it just blows me away. It's just something that, and I just keep talking to a lot of you guys, and it's kind of the same story. If you work really hard and you believe in what you're doing, you can help a lot of families, and then the reward is self-fulfilling, right?
Well, and you're gonna have hard stuff whether you recruit people or not, it's gonna be hard. So like why not do it with people that you enjoy to spend time around that and like now you're in a position where you can help them. So it really does make this quote unquote job, if you will, like it makes it a lot more fun because you get to work with like-minded people that that you guys can all go through it together and get better simultaneously. So it definitely like helps with this enjoyment of the grind, if you will, to get to do it with people that you love to spend time with. It's really fun.
So what is okay, I'm a new agent. I'm in, I passed my test. What do you look for? What do you look for in an agent? And then what is like the first checklist for them that they got to complete for you?
So once we do the initial interview and they're like, hey, I'm interested in doing this, I just tell them, okay, until you have a license, I am unbelievably useless to you. I can't answer any questions. I can't help you with anything. If you don't have a license and you're not able to get contracted, there's nothing that we can talk about because I can't do anything for you. My job is to take you from I don't know anything about insurance to go in and help in your first 10 families as fast as we can. That's what my job is. So until you have like the licensing stuff done, there's not, I don't have any tips for the test. Like I don't know any of that information. Like I barely survived it myself. So you're not talking to the right person. And that's just what I tell everybody. So once you get your license and then you get all your contracting stuff done, I'm like, hey, did you go through the boot camp? Yes, I went through the boot camp. I submitted all my contracts. All right, awesome. What's your schedule look like tomorrow? Let's get something on the calendar for a half an hour and let's do like a startup call where we can make a lead plan and a calendar for like the next month. So we actually have a game plan for what this is going to look like instead of just going, oh, I'm just going to show up every day and hopefully something good happens. That's probably not going to work very good if you don't have some kind of like game plan down. At least that's my theory. So I basically want to know, Jimmy, like what do you want out of this thing and why? It's no different than when you're talking to someone who's trying to get insurance. What possible reason would you have? Because as we mentioned before you started, like you're going to have some of the best days of your life here and some of the hardest days of your life here, because it's very challenging being a contractor. So like if you're not good at clocking in for yourself and you don't show up for you, I also can't help you with that part. Like I'm not your dad, I'm not your boss, I'm not anyone except for someone that's here to help you plug into the stuff that we got going on. So I need you to show up for you. What do you want? If you just need a tiny extra bit of supplemental income, couldn't be happier for you. Like let's put a plan together for that. If someone says, "Oh, I see this Hall of Fame stuff and that's what I would like to do," I'll go through, "Hey, this is what it took for me to get there. Hopefully you learn faster and don't have as much struggles as I did, but this is what my experience was to get there. Are you willing to do that?" And then if they say yes, time will tell. If we've got a scheduled call, Jimmy, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and you text me at 8:35, and you're like, "Hey, sorry, I had a hiccup this morning." Like, dude, you couldn't be on time for the very first scheduled call we had. We're already off to a pretty rocky start, to be honest with you. And I'm not gonna get mad or insult anybody or get pissed at them or anything, but I want to be them to know, like, dude, I'm gonna put in exactly what you put in. So I'm here to meet you. So like I got a new dude that came on that has showed up 7 days a week since he started, called me 3, 4, 5 times, like every 2 hours trying to get help. He's on Zoom every single day, wants to go over a lead plan. He gets up early. Like, dude, I'll answer if he calls me at 11:30 p.m. and I'm like asleep and I got my emergency alarm for when he calls. I'll answer him at 11:30 because he showed up to everything. If I don't hear from you, Jimmy, for 3 weeks and you call me late because you need help with something, that doesn't really seem like a fair exchange where I just have to be on call for you at will when you won't do any of the stuff that you're supposed to do that we talked about. So I want to make sure that we have a very even relationship because, you only have so much time in the day, dude. And if I've got these guys who are like all in, showing up to everything, and I hear from you every 3 weeks, like that's not fair for you to expect that from me either. Just like I don't expect you to do stuff that you said you didn't want to do right out of the gate. Like I'm not going to force you to do 90 hours a week if you told me you don't want to do that. So that's kind of like expectation setting. And then lead plan stuff is just based on their budget, dude. What can you come up with? If you can't come up with $500, like this may not be it. I don't want you to bet on yourself spending $50 a week on leads and think that this is going to work out exactly how it did for Andrew as it is going to for you if you're not willing to like put a little skin in the game, even if it's a little risky. So just try to have like the most direct, honest conversations with people, figure out what they want, why they want it, what is their game plan for a schedule, like how can I help tweak and adjust stuff, what's their experience, all that stuff, and just really lay out a agent specific plan to that person that's tailored to help them win.
Yeah, it's awesome. So if somebody pushes back on the buying the leads. What's your rebuttal for that? I know what the answer is, but I just want other agents to kind of hear because there's a reality to this that it's like if you're not willing to either find someone to help you and do a split with, or you're going to spend a bunch of money, I don't see it. I don't see how you're going to be successful. Like you said, if you think you're going to have a $50 budget, or you're going to buy $200 of leads and dial them in 2 weeks, I don't see where the success is. So what is your strategy for that? If someone's like, well, $500 sounds like a lot, what would you say to them? And what do you spend so people know?
I am right about 2 grand a week now. That's pretty much on repeat for me. Especially because like our lead cost has decreased so much. And dude, Andrew can go check my my receipts, dude. When I was doing these crazy mail, I would have $4,000 or $5,000 weeks on mail easy for sure. And now because we have such high quality leads and we can get them for 11, 14, 18, 25, like dude, it's crazy how much more profitable you can be with like the lead stuff that we've done now. So I just tell him my story, dude. Like, listen, I understand that it's nerve wracking. This is going to come down to like how much do you believe in yourself and how bad do you want it kind of thing. I'm not really a motivational speaker, obviously, but like, dude, I was so homeless broke when I started here. I just banged out credit cards until they turned them off for leads. Like I was just hammering $2,000 to $2,500 a week in leads on my credit cards because I had the belief level that was a little arrogantly true. Like I maybe believed a little bit too much, but like this is what I did. I'm not saying that's everybody's solution, but if you're not willing to spend 500 a week on leads, dude, I don't know how to teach you how to make money in this business. I didn't start off cold door knocking, going out and making money doing that. And that's certainly a way that you could. So like if you want to go door knock, or if you want to sell your friends and family, all good. If they have a need, this is not, we're not hard closing our mothers, that's weird. But if you've got a big extensive warm market, I'm more than happy for you to utilize that to get your first couple of checks and then take that and reallocate. But I didn't have any warm market people that wanted to buy from me or that wanted to hear about life insurance, so I had to get leads. And if you're not willing to like bet on yourself and buy leads to fund your business, I don't know how to teach you how to do this thing without them, because that's literally how we've done it since day one. With everyone that's come on here and done this at a high level, it's been leads based sales. So I just let them know like this is what it is. Because of how our comp is structured and the advance money, like if you can't get one yes out of 100 repetitions, then maybe I'll go to bat for you on the next set and give you another crack at it. That would be very individual based. But I try to just tell them, dude, like I don't know how to help you win in this business without them, because that's the only way that I know how to do this.
So excuse me, if somebody buys $500 worth of leads and they fail, how do you follow up and manage and try to help them get across the finish line? So like they bought the leads, they did the dials, they set appointments, they can't close, or they didn't set any appointments. What is your, how do you do that?
So I just have an honest conversation with them up front again. So we're going to go back and just go, listen, if you will show up 6 days this week, Monday to Saturday, and you're plugged in from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you get your 500 leads, you blow their phone up, you text them, you leave the voicemails, you just tell them like, hey, I'm confirming my appointment for 6 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be at the house just to get a call back. If you truly go to work and we can track your dials and your messages and your voicemails, and you just get beat up that week, I will get your next set of leads if you show up for you. And Jimmy, you can probably guess how many times that has actually happened where they show up for themselves for a crazy full-time week and then zero out at the end of the week. Like it's almost never that if they truly show up and they're on Zoom or they're in the office and they're calling for help or reviewing their appointments and their no sales, it's really unlikely that they're going to offer for the entire week. But if they do, and they're doing all the stuff that they said they were going to do, like I have already offered to buy your next batch of leads if you will show up and literally just try. I just want to see you try as hard as you can your first week. And then I got your back on the second round. But like, here's how this first one's going to go. So that's kind of like my pitch to new guys. Like, hey, listen, if you're willing to go all in on yourself and take a shot at grabbing leads, and this should be a conversation that we have like before they're licensed, dude. If they're hesitant about putting $500 to their name and like going out and getting after it a little bit right out of the gate, this is not for everybody, dude. I'm not trying to bring on every single person. I don't want to deny someone an opportunity that could potentially, not everyone, change their life or put them into a different situation or whatever. So I would say, dude, if you're only willing to spend $100, like this is not it, man. I don't want to see you come here and hurt yourself because you spend the money licensing and the time, and then you contract, and then you spend $50 on leads and you get the exact result I told you you're probably going to get if you do that. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. So, maybe we should reconvene when you've got 500 to throw at yourself, or when you get a credit card that you can do 1,000 or whatever that is. That's what I want to see. And I don't want to bring people in that don't understand that this is an actual business where we purchase leads as inventory that we turn into income. And that's what I want people to be on the same page with before they start, so we don't have this issue very much.
So that's crazy. So you opened up credit cards and just rocked them until you got good at this. I mean, that's pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Holy.
Well, it was a little dumb. Thankfully it paid off in the long run. I was so over the top aggressive buying leads. It definitely was not for me not having enough leads. Like I was 10 grand deep in lead spend my first month. I don't know how, maybe from like the core 5 to 8 people that founded the whole company, those guys were probably all in like that too. I don't know if that's a great strategy for everybody. So, like don't make yourselves homeless or whatever, because we were pretty close. but I never wanted it to be because I wasn't committed to giving this thing a full shot. And they said, "Hey, this is what top producers spend." And I was like, "Oh, I will be a top producer. So obviously I will spend that." And that was before I knew how to do that. I didn't even know, dude, I don't know if that many people know this. I don't talk about it that much. I didn't even know we had to buy leads when I started here. They're like, "Oh, by the way, you buy leads." And I was like, "Sweet, sounds good. How many do I get?" And they're like, "Top producers are 2 grand a week." And I was like, "I'm in. Sounds good. I'll probably make, 20 or 30 like my first few weeks, no problem." And I just assumed that's what it was. So it was pretty bizarre getting
Man,
started here.
man, that's crazy. Like just all or nothing, man. Easton's all or nothing. So what script do you share with your new agents?
Well, I've been all in on this ethos stuff, dude. So I think the IULs and the ethos ones, I just call like, dude, this is Easton with Ethos in Colorado. I was getting back because I saw that you had submitted that online quote request for the life insurance prices, and I'm the underwriter assigned to do the eligibility stuff with you and see what you match with. On our site, it'll only show you like one company, and there's like 50 or so that we underwrite with. So I'm just going to get on the call with you for like 15 to 20 minutes and go through some suitability questions and see what you match with. Are you still working full time? Are you single, married, widow, divorced? Are you right in the middle of anything right now? Yes, I'm working. As I said, all good. What's the latest that you've ever been home from work? Cool. I've got a 7:30 open out of 7. Any reason that wouldn't work for you and the wife? And everything else is the same. I just want to build that credibility early. Like, this is Easton with Ethos, calling you right here in the state that I got the leads in. I got the quote request you'd sent over. This was the date of birth that's listed. Just want to make sure that's correct. Awesome. Reintroduce as an underwriter guy. All the script stuff is literally the same after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah, I'm very to the point. I love the ethos leads. I just say, what do hi, how you doing? Easton, my name's Jim. The reason for my call is you're inquiring about getting some life insurance. I just want to verify two things, and I usually do what they're looking for and their age, and then I just say, is that correct? And I wait. And when they say yes, then I know it's game on. You know what I mean? I got their attention. Do you find that working the ethos leads, if we took those away from you, what leads would you work? So if you couldn't get ethos leads, what would you work? And IULs and social media. So let's cut that out. Let's get rid of those and then what would you go after? Because a lot of
Oh, dude.
people, they just can't do the telesales. You know what I mean? And I get that. So I'm just trying to open up a little bit more. So what did you work before the ethos leads?
I was all instant internet with beneficiaries, the questionnaire leads I used a bunch, age mortgage leads. Um, maybe it's a little bit different. Listen, dude, I'm coming up. April will be 5 years that I've been here. So the nice thing about getting started when I did is I didn't have the golden lead, dude. We were ordering Facebook
No, I
leads
know.
$2,000 at a time that we had to wait 5 days for them to actually generate. So we were always playing the buy and wait game, buy and wait. So don't miss your order date because then you're not going to have anything to work next week. So this like repeat, dude, that really helped me to be grateful for how sick our ILC system is now that you can go in there and get instant with beneficiaries. You can get platinum and diamond leads overnight in your area if you want. You can call all over the country, dude. Um, I'm a big believer in having a mix of leads. It's not like it hasn't happened to me before, which again, I was kind of testifying to that Andrew used to see my mail pro bill occasionally. So thing got pretty wild. But I still, when I was running really heavy direct mail, dude, I knew how to work internet and final expense leads because that's what I did for my first like 12 to 18 months before I touched a direct mail lead. So when that stuff died, all I did was pivot back to what I had already sold for my first year and a half. It was no big deal. So having like a lead mix where, listen, maybe Ethos is my crack today, but if you guys yanked them, dude, I'm going to go directly to the instant with beneficiary leads. I'm going to go grab some platinum and some diamonds. I'm going to grab the questionnaire leads. I'll grab some age mortgage leads. A lead is a lead is a lead is a lead. I know they say that on repeat all the time. I think people get discouraged because they'll buy a lead type one time and they're like, "Oh, I saw that Steve Giordano said he did 15 families last week on this lead type and I didn't do." Dude, Steve's the best in the entire company. Like, why are you assuming that your first time trying a lead is going to be Steve's experience? That's a crazy thing to say out loud. And it's a little arrogant also. Like the amount of work that that dude's put in to be there is not like everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's kind of like my big take. Okay, have you know? Oh, dude, the ILC leads. It's really hard to sell me that it's not the move, period. Um, ever when they change to that scoring model on our internet leads, where it's not just like, hey, are they new or are they not new? It goes into like what data points do they have and all these other factors. Man, I'm a really hard sell for a lead is not good. Because anytime I hear that, I will go and purchase them with that human being that says that they're not good, and then we will together, shut down 3, 4, 5 of these families and get them all helped out on the exact same batch that sucked or that they said this type doesn't work. Like the quality and the price point of all those like diamond platinums and benefit, like, dude, it's so good now. And it's not like they're running out. What is there, like 2 million leads in the ILC right now or something crazy?
And they're getting better
So
every day. Yeah. And
I have noticed a huge shift, Andrew, in the titanium lead quality since they released. So yes, 66,000 titaniums in there right now.
yeah,
So
that's great to hear saying that you would go to the internet with beneficiaries, because sometimes people only have one state, and then there might not be those Instacart in there. So then they have to pivot to something else. So that's why I kind of wanted to get what you used to run before because I love the ethos. I think just the people are so responsive. You know what I mean? They filled it out. They're already there. It's easy to remind them. It's just something that they took that away. I think it would be hard for me. I'd have to pivot to something else. But so let's get back to recruiting. So you get your recruit, they're killing it. Then when do you ask them to how do you find out if they're a leader? I know Stephen Yee talks about it might take 5 links to find a leader. How do you find your leaders?
I think you don't appoint anyone before they've earned it is probably a big one. Because you'll find some people that you like your personalities mesh like 100%, like the stuff that you like to do, the things that you're interested in, but that same person, dude, they might not show up or do anything for 6 weeks, and you're trying to force them into a role that they haven't earned yet. So, when you're on the hunt for leaders, dude, like who is showing up for a long period of time, and I think that they'll emerge on their own most of the time. Like, listen, if this person shows up for 60 to 90 straight days, I man, I gotta be careful.
So
I wouldn't say that I
you believe in
guarantee that
being
they'll have results.
you believe in
Go ahead.
organic. You believe in organic growth.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and one of my good buddies that I know he wouldn't mind this at all, but listen, I grew up with him. He's a nationally ranked collegiate wrestler type dude. He used to fight like he's a beast. And so I have a ton in common with him, and I was just like, this is what we're doing and this is how it's going to work. And I literally just let him be for like 4, 5, 6 months, and then bam, dude, he calls me. He's like, hey, I'm going to exit these other things, do this full time. 2 months later, he goes 80, 73, 75, closes the year out with Hall of Fame production. And he didn't even go full time till September. So he just went from like, hey, I'm going to learn the business. I'm going to do it a little bit. And then he went, bam, I'm a leader. I'm going to bring in 10 guys. I'm going to sell Hall of Fame to wrap the year up. And like, he went out and earned that position to close the year out. You know what I mean? So that's like what I'm looking for, dude, is who shows up and who earns it. Because you start appointing people that you like or that you think have potential that don't ever do anything. People are going to go, hey, you're talking to Andrew like he's a leader. I haven't seen Andrew for 6 months. I don't,
Right.
and I saw last month he helped 11 families. I don't understand why he's in charge of stuff, and it's bad for business, bad for culture type deal. So I'm big, and I think that this is how it should be. You like big on results, for everybody.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, for your agency to hit Hall of Fame. So, what is it to be Hall of Fame? How much do you have to produce for Hall of Fame for an agency?
Agency is 10 million in gross sales as a group a year.
So you got 100 and what'd you say, 20 people,
Hmm.
and then you're doing 10 million in sales. That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome, man. That's pretty awesome. That is amazing. Going back
yeah,
to
we superstars, dude. We got some good guys.
and they're your buddies you grew up with, right?
A lot of them, yeah.
Ah, that's so awesome, man. That's so awesome. So what do you look for? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Easton?
Oh, dude, that's a crazy question. Um, I'll be a dad in 5 years because I'm about
I
to be
know.
in April. So
Congratulations on that, by the way.
thanks.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah,
So I
that's
definitely see
amazing.
that in my future. I think my focus just on like, dude, how it's cool that you get to constantly evolve and learn stuff in this business. So everybody likes different stuff, but what I saw like my dream job being for a while was I wanted to be a coach. It's like I moved down to Colorado not to work for corporate rental. I moved down here to coach, to be a college coach. So I loved like helping people develop themselves into something more. And this to me is like exactly that. You get to help people learn how to build and manage and become financially stable. And it's a really, really cool place to be in maybe like a coach type role, but I make more than 10 grand a year, which was what I was making when I was coaching, so it's a little bit better gig than that for financial stability. So as long as they will let me do this and like sell, build, scale, recruit, I like this job a lot, dude. I definitely want to get into a spot where I can continue to have more time with my family, especially as the little ones come. Um, giving back and the ultimate dream for, a lot of people, I guess, would be to take care of their parents if that's something that they want to do. So that's on my list, like make sure that no matter what happens within a few years, like my parents are eternally comfortable and, they don't really have to worry about stuff like that. So that's like a big thing on my list. And obviously taking care of the in-laws and my wife and my own family is big. Um, I like this stuff, dude. I just want to see how big can we make this in 5 years with the knowledge that we have now, with how fast the company is growing. Like this is not something that has an hourglass on it for me, dude. So as long as they'll let me do it and we can keep rolling on this thing, like I don't really have a desire to do anything else full time. I really like this stuff.
So what's your shirt say? It says coffee. You drink a lot of coffee?
Yeah, this is Black Rifle coffee, dude. So that stuff's keeps me wired as I'm rolling. And I don't sleep a lot. I've gotten better at my caffeine addiction, by the way, because it's just an addiction like anything else. I bet I was doing 15 to 1700 milligrams a day for like 2 years, and now I'm down to like 5 to 550.
Okay, so how
So
many cups is that, or pots, or how do you how would I how much is that?
well, I don't do the energy drinks, Andrew. Those are like 350 a pop. So if you just like make the coffee, it's like 100 milligrams a cup. So, between like the pre-workout in the
So
morning and like,
15 cups a day?
well, I was taking it a lot in supplement stuff, dude. So, that definitely gets me a little bit ahead for like energy type stimulants.
That's
And then I'll have like 2 or 3 cups of coffee throughout the day, depending on the day.
so if I was to ask somebody on your team what kind of character you are, what do you think they'd say about you?
Hmm. That's a really hard question. I didn't know we were going that direction, Jimmy. You caught me off guard.
It's my
I
job,
would
man. It's my
hope,
job.
I would just hope that they're, like, hey, he's admittedly an idiot, but he will work hard to try to fix it. That's kind of like how I've rolled since I've been here. Um, I've always kind of said that, not everyone like, hey, it is what it is. Like Zach left med school to do this. That was not an option for me. They weren't like, hey, if you want to go to med school, you can go. I was not on that same track. I've always kind of, joked that, dude, I'm like the Forrest Gump of this thing where it may take me a while, but I'll always keep running, and that's just kind of like how I operated. So I would just hope that, my team, when they look at me, they're, imperfect, maybe kind of dumb sometimes, but you can't say that I don't show up, dude, because I've showed up for like coming up on 5 years and I don't really, quit much stuff. So that's kind of what I would, kind of hope that they would see in me.
Do I love it? Well, thank you for your time today, Easton. I just want to put one last thing out. There's a new update on the IUL contracting. If you need to get contracted, you must complete the boot camp on srstrainingcamp.com. Hope you guys have a great week. Let's help a bunch of families, and I'll see you guys on the other side.